In today's video, I'm sharing my step-by-step guide to make a vision board that actually works, based on the neuroscience and psychology of goal achievement. After a couple years of making vision boards that looked really cute but didn't actually do anything, I did a deep dive into the research and I decided to try something new. And the crazy thing is, my vision board actually worked this time. So today I'm gonna break it down for you step by step. First, we'll talk about our brains, psychology, neuroscience, and why vision boards can be so powerful if they're done correctly. Then I'm gonna share my 4-step process for creating your vision board, including dreaming it, curating your images, creating the collage, and how to actually use it correctly to get results. Grab a coffee, grab a notebook, and let's get into it. The good news is there are scientific and biological reasons to explain why vision boarding works. It is not magic or wish granting or quantum physics or anything like that. So our brain has this thing called the reticular activating system. It's basically our personal filter. It decides what information gets through to our conscious mind and what gets kind of ignored. This is important because we are getting thousands of pieces of sensory information every second. So our brain is just surfacing what it thinks is the most important. We've probably all experienced frequency bias before, where we become aware of something and suddenly we start seeing it everywhere. Back when I got my first car, I started seeing that model of car everywhere. This isn't because there were suddenly more of them. It's because my reticular activating system had tagged it as important, so I was just noticing it more. When we focus on opportunities, we will see more of them. The next piece of this is emotional activation. Human beings are visual creatures. There is a full lobe of our brain dedicated just to visual processing. Seeing images of our goals on our vision board can help us feel more emotionally connected to those goals, rather than just seeing them written down somewhere, which doesn't activate quite the same level of attachment. When we can visualize actually achieving our goals through our vision board, our brain can start to release dopamine, which is our motivator hormone. So the more emotionally attached we are, the more motivated we are, and the easier it is to actually get out there and work towards achieving our goals. Through the act of creating our vision board, we're also forced to get really specific. And this specificity actually does significantly increase our chances of achieving our goals. Vision boards also serve as a reminder of our goals, which may sound kind of silly, but it really is important because achieving our goals is made up of hundreds or thousands of small actions or small habits every day. Remembering to take those small steps is not sufficient to achieve our goals, but it is essential. So now that we know why it works, let's get into the vision boarding process. So step 1 is to dream. I like to sit down, turn on some music, get a coffee, visualize my dream life. Research shows the more connected we are to a future version of ourselves, the easier it is to delay gratification and take the steps necessary to actually achieve our goals. Once we have our vision for our dream life, we can draw our goals from there. I have an in-depth goal setting video and workshop that I will link up here in case you want to check that out. But for the purposes of this video and the vision board, I'll just say your dreams don't have to be realistic, but your goals do. I talk about this in depth in that video, but it's important to shift your goals into things that are within your control. So rather than saying, I want to hit 10K YouTube subscribers, a better goal that's based on your own inputs and efforts would be, I want to post 1 YouTube video a week. Because yeah, it's very disappointing if you get to the end of the quarter or the end of the year and you look back at your goals and you're like, wow, I did everything I could to try and hit 10K YouTube subscribers. And I still didn't because it was out of my control in the first place. So rather than setting a goal to get abs, your goal could be to lose 20 pounds of fat. It sounds like a small thing, but it's very, very important in my opinion. Now, once you have a list of goals, you're gonna pick the top 1 to 3 goals that make sense for this next phase or period of your life. I also have a personal tendency to pick 47 bajillion goals at the same time, and then I achieve none of them because I'm spread way too thin. So I would recommend against doing that. The other goals aren't disappearing, they're just not our main focus for right now. I personally like to do my goal setting, vision boarding on a quarterly basis rather than an annual basis, just because I find so much can change within a year. But obviously you can do whatever works for you. Okay, step 2 is to curate your images, and this is where it starts getting really fun. I mean, you could use Google Images if you want to, but I highly recommend Pinterest. And this is when you're gonna start finding the images that represent your goals. Personally, I like to get a Pinterest board going and add a ton of images. And then I will go back later and kind of cut the ones that don't feel as aligned. These are my personal image requirements. The images should include a mix of both outcome images and process images. For example, if your goal is to get fit, I wouldn't just put like a really fit person on the vision board. I would also put healthy food, workouts, getting good sleep, like all of the things that'll be a part of your process. Not every image needs to be literal. Some of them can just represent like the energy or the feeling that you're going for, but every image should mean something to you and to your goals. I really love photoshopping some of the images for my vision board. So for example, if you had a target to hit a certain number of followers or save a certain amount of money, taking a screenshot of your profile or your bank account and actually photoshopping that number onto there is very powerful. If you want to add quotes or affirmations to your vision board, you definitely can, but it's easy to just kind of throw random stuff in there that's not really resonant. So if you're gonna do any kind of text, I would just be picky about it. Step 3 is to take your favorite images and create your collage. So this is the time to be picky. If your vision board is too cluttered and scattered, in my experience, it's just not gonna be as effective and as resonant. I think there are two main options for how to actually create the collage: Canva and Pinterest. I thought it would be fun to show you a couple of demos with my own 2026 vision board. So let's start with Pinterest. You do need to be on the mobile app. Just go to your board, tap collage, and then you can select images from your board or you can search for them. They have a ton of cool features. You can add cutouts, text, background colors, you can draw on it. The main downsides are they only have one size and it's about as big as a phone wallpaper, and the download isn't super high quality, but it is really easy to use and I feel like it's a great starting point. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Canva because it's a little bit more flexible and you can make all different sizes. There is a free version of Canva anyone can use, but one thing to note, the cutouts are a paid feature. I personally just copy and paste all of my images straight from Pinterest into Canva, arrange them until everything looks nice. You can also print through Canva if you want a physical copy of your vision board. I personally really like adding cutouts of certain images because I feel like it adds some kind of visual interest. You could also do it old school and like print out your images and cut them out, but I personally like to do it digitally because I end up using mine digitally, which we'll talk about in a second. I've done this both ways, but in my experience, the most effective way is to group your images by goal. The fully random arrangement where it's just kind of like a sprinkling of everything looks really cute, but it's not quite as effective because it doesn't feel as much like a story. It kind of just feels like a vibe, if that makes sense. Now, this is the most important part. You should feel good when you look at your vision board. If there are images on there that are making you feel like your goals are unrealistic, you're not gonna be able to get there, like you're not good enough, take them off. Even if the images are aligned with your goals, if they're not making you feel good, they're gone. Okay, now how can we use our vision board to actually get results? This is the part where I feel like people fall off and it's really important. So I personally like to make mine my computer wallpaper, but you can put your vision board anywhere and everywhere that you will see it often. You could print it out or do a physical version of this and put it in your closet, on your bathroom mirror, in your office. You could do a phone wallpaper, you could do a computer wallpaper, as long as it's somewhere you see it. Now, this is the part a lot of people miss. It's very important to create some kind of daily routine where you are actually looking at it. If we're not actively seeing it and processing it on some level, it is basically useless. There's some interesting research on this, but when something is new in our environment, we'll notice it. So if we put a sticky note up on the fridge that says like, remember to take your vitamins, the first few days or weeks, we will actually notice that when we go to open our fridge. After a while, our brain kind of gets used to it and stops noticing it and really like clocking it. And that's a problem in terms of our vision boards. So having that routine, that ritual of looking at it, even if it's just for like a minute, is very important for this to be effective. An important note, a vision board is not a to-do list. If there are things on your vision board that you don't check off this quarter or this year or whatever, that is not a failure. Just because things didn't work out this time or they didn't work out yet does not mean they won't work out in the future. So personally, when I look at my vision board from last year, there are quite a few things that did end up coming true, which is very exciting and I am really happy about that. But there are some things on there that didn't work out and that are disappointing, and I see them and I'm like, ugh. Just hurts, you know? There may be goals you want to move forward onto the next vision board. If there's any bad energy around it, I would just get fresh images because like I mentioned, you want to feel good and feel inspired and motivated when you look at your vision board. And if you're not feeling that way because there's like some baggage from last year or maybe like disappointing experiences or failures or whatever, we need to find a way to leave that in the past. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that is to just get fresh images that are gonna have a new energy. Here's the key though, vision boards will not work unless we actually take action. Of course, we still have to create systems and habits and action plans to be able to achieve our goals. The way I think of a vision board is like a map, so we can look at it and it'll show us a path to get to where we want to go. But we aren't going to get anywhere unless we get in the car and we start driving. I had so much fun making this video, sharing this process with you, and I really hope it was helpful. I hope you're feeling inspired and excited. If you enjoyed this video, I think you will also enjoy my New Year's reflection, planning, and goal setting workshop, which I will link up here in case you want to check it out. If you'd like to see more from from me, make sure to subscribe. I upload new videos every week, and I will see you next time.